Hey, this is Brent Jensen, and you are listening to No Sleep Till Sudbury, the show where we talk about the music that makes your skin vibrate. The show is brought to you by Pariah Pickups. What you want, what you need, what you love. Check them out at pariahpickups.com. And to support the No Sleep Till Sudbury show on Patreon, visit patreon.com/Brent Jensen Music. All right, this week I welcome singer-songwriter Christina Martin back to the show. Christina is one of my favorite indie artists. I love her. And her new single is called Stay With Me. Here she is. At long last, the return of Christina Martin to the show. Christina, how are you?
Hey, I'm good. I mean, we chatted a little bit before this. I'm stressed, but I'm happy to be alive and always grateful.
Good.
So,
That's
yeah,
good. I am
yeah,
super stoked to have you back on the show. It's been a long time. I think the last time we saw each other was in 2018
yeah,
during,
me too.
yeah.
I
Uh,
mean, me too. Me too. What I meant to say was we hung out in that really slick spot in Toronto, and I
mhm.
I remember you made us feel so comfortable in whatever soundproof room we were hanging out in, and I missed your voice.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, you have a
Jeez.
great energy, great voice.
Thanks, Christina. That was a lot of
And
fun.
yeah,
You were with
I also,
Dale. You
yes.
and Dale came in, and I saw you live that night at Hughes Room, and I was right up front. I'll never forget. It was fantastic. Loved it.
Oh, that's awesome. You know what?
What?
I don't want to, mess up the order of what we're going to talk about today, but I believe that show
Hmm.
was a really important show for me because a friend of mine, I mentioned that I was playing in Toronto and I said, hey, come on out to the show. He bought a ticket and I said the venue was accessible. And I didn't really understand much about accessible features or events at the time. And he couldn't get into the venue because there was no way to. He uses a wheelchair, and there was no way for him. He was waiting out on the street
Oh no.
out front, and it really opened my eyes to. I was mortified. I was so upset, and kind of myself really just. I had no idea, and a few things could have been done to make sure that didn't happen. But yeah, it was one of the things that really fast tracked like this journey that I'm on today.
Hmm.
Years later, even like it took me that long to even figure out what could I do, what did I need to do, what's happening out there in the world of accessibility.
That was one of the things I wanted to talk to you about today, is that I think what you are doing now is really wonderful. If you go on Christina's website, christinamartin.net, there is a page called Accessibility. And on that page, we learn that you have been working with a consulting group, Christina, called Sensory Friendly Solutions to make the
Yeah.
overall experience of being a fan of yours more accessible, inclusive, and just sensory friendly. So, for instance, you ask venues for their accessibility features before you book a performance, which I think is fantastic. You make suggestions on how to reduce barriers for your fans. You provide email contact. So what you're doing is great.
Oh, it's like baby steps. Like I'm so at the beginning of this, really, and there's so much more to learn. And what's cool about this year, I was able to finally access some funding to from the province of Nova Scotia to hire Crystal Seeberger at Sensory Friendly Solutions, and I really encourage anyone to check out their website, Crystal's website. She has a background in occupational therapy. She's been an incredible mentor, and there's other experts that now I'm partnered with and learning from, people with lived experience when it comes to living with a disability, that are giving me feedback and telling me like how it should be, or how it could be, and
Hmm.
it's just fascinating. But I think that the thing about it is, I still feel very much like this is the beginning. Like even my website, I know it's, one of the things on my to-do list was I wanted to have an accessibility page up there. My mentor Crystal recommended that, and I
Hmm.
thought this is a great idea, and she really helped me kind of make it personal. But my website, there are barriers to some people even accessing my website because it doesn't have accessibility features. Part of my homework is to try and remedy that best I can, figure out if I can make like my websites, just, and even my posts, it's a lot of work. It actually is really hard to do it all by yourself, I've discovered. And it can take some time to really learn how to navigate, finding the right resources, but there are resources out there if you look locally, provincially, even federally.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to do more, if you want to make your events or your music or your business accessible to more people, right? Which is the goal for all of us anyway. We
Right.
want to connect with more people. And when it comes to art, I mean, there are so many people out there that want to feel included, that want to have the experience of a community and attending an event or even online, but we're, shutting a lot of the population out by not considering ways to make our events more inclusive.
I think it's terrific that you're paying so much attention to this and putting the effort in. Good for you.
I have a lot more to learn.
Mm.
But it's exciting. Even we launched my music video for Stay With Me, the new single. And alongside it, two of my partners, Kat Germain, who audio described the music video. We have a version that's audio described now. I've never had an AD video before. And she and Milena Kazanavicius, who is a member of the blind community in Halifax and an advocate and activist for the disability community, as well as Kat is as well an activist. And so they were co-hosting a Zoom listening party alongside my launch party on Crowdcast.
Mm-hmm.
And I hopped over to the Zoom meeting afterwards and answered a few questions. And it was just exciting for me to get feedback from the community, the partially sighted and blind community, for the audio described version of the music video. And then I received emails from people afterwards that told me that this was something that they really valued. And that was something I really had no idea if anybody would care. Like I was, we were putting it out there and doing this thing, but I had a feeling it would be, it was a really interesting exercise for me, and I thought it could have a reach, but I really didn't have any idea. And so far the results been super positive, and
Good.
we've even got, constructive criticism too for that particular online event. So it's just, I think about, it's not always comfortable. There's a real fear attached to like trying new things and disappointing people and not getting it right. And I just decided that I had to get comfy with being uncomfortable and try things and be open to not getting it right all the time. And that's just how you learn.
That's so great. I think that's fantastic. Good for you, Christina. Do you want to talk about Stay With Me a little bit, your new single?
Sure. I mean, what do you want to know, Brent?
Can I tell you my perception of it? So
yeah, that's better. That's better.
Yeah. I love it. It's for me, it's big, it's sophisticated, there's orchestration, it's a well-written song. Your voice is as powerful as ever, in my opinion. I think it's tremendous.
Yeah, thanks.
You're welcome.
I agree. No, I was going to say the exact same thing. No, it's so hard to talk about a song, like, unless there's a specific question. But I mean, I will say that I think a couple people have asked me if it was a song about like my partner leaving me or something, and I will confirm that it is not. But that being said, it's healthy to have rumors going around. I think it's good publicity. So this song was written pre-pandemic, and that surprises some people because I mentioned wearing masks. But I didn't start the trend to wearing masks, but I was wearing masks on airplanes because years before this pandemic, because I really developed a phobia of like, getting a flu on going on tour and getting sick, because I had been through that pretty much every tour, in the last 5 years. And it's really hard to tour when you're sick. And it's not like we can afford to cancel shows. So I think I wrote the song in 2018. And the song for me represents the sort of dichotomy of my existence, where I think I'm a strong person. I think I'm optimistic. I present really well to a lot of people, but I live with, anxiety. I have trauma. I have all kinds of things that I struggle with.
Mm-hmm.
And, as my friend Matt always reminds me, everyone has their thing. And I just, over the years, like some years are harder than others. And I think this song for me is about these two characters that kind of just coexist. And one is what we call in the music video, I called it the guardian,
Mm-hmm.
is sort of singing the part of the stay with me, and encouraging, it's going to be all right. I've lived this, it's fine, chill out. And then the other I call the tortured soul character in the video, that's really battling, some trauma and trying to overcome. So facing, I guess, living with the fear and trying to move forward. And yeah, and I partnered up with Brendan Henry, a video director in Prince Edward Island,
Mm-hmm.
because I'd seen what he could do. He's a special effects wizard, and I saw what he could do. I watched a music video that he did for Andrew Waite on Prince Edward Island, from Prince Edward Island, and I was really impressed. And so Brendan was wonderful to work with. The idea for the video came after, he'd listened to the song, he read the lyrics, he talked to me, and he conjured up this scenario, this storyline that I really liked. And then we talked through it together, and he really listened to me and wanted me to really be excited about it. And I was. And he was a great director, great to work with, really dream team material and linchpin of a guy. Like, so that was a real joy too. Like,
Cool.
Songwriting for me, it's become apparent now that this isn't my first rodeo. Hopefully I'll have more rodeos to come, but like, I know about myself now that, this journey in songwriting and music and performing, it's not just about writing the song. It obviously starts there, but as soon as I start writing a song, I start seeing, the performance, and I start kind of seeing everything in the form of a music video, even if that doesn't even become the music video. But I'm such a visual person, and then I get excited immediately about, like, who can I work with on this? I already kind of have my group of folks that I work with in the studio, for the most part. But I mean, for this song and this album, this was the first song that I, tried my hand at writing string parts and collaborating with a string player, Karen Graves, who played on the whole album. And so I didn't know if I could do that. But the pandemic, allowed me to set up my home studio and learn some things. And so I was able to write with, MIDI tracks for strings, and that was really exciting for me as well. It's just something I'd always wanted to do, and found the right collaborator. It was just, total pleasure. So talking about the single, this everything, like, there's so many things about it, and the accessibility side of it too. But to me, it's about these collaborations, the team, and making connections ultimately with the visuals, like from the artwork to and the music, to just getting it out there to people. And it's really exciting. Like, it's all very exciting to me.
Yeah. Well, the song's fantastic. Like I say, I love the orchestration. So
Thank you.
that completely worked out for you. Yeah.
All right. Good. Great. It's got Brent's approval. Awesome. Score.
Seal of approval.
Yay.
Let's talk about your song picks now, Christina.
My song picks. Right. I thought, yes, got it.
So these are 5 women. You said that, there's a lot of admiration, there's respect, there's some pen pal activity going back and forth with one of them. So this is pretty cool. I like what you've done here. So the first,
really?
Yeah, oh yeah. So the first one is Patty Griffin, and the song is "When It Doesn't Come Easy."
Okay, well, I'm terrible about talking about, why I like songs or music, but I wanted to share a little story. I listened to Patty Griffin for the first time after having met her in person in Austin, Texas, at a wedding. I don't know whose wedding it was, but I was invited to a wedding by my first producer, Darwin Smith, as a guest. And I remember I think it was the winter or the fall down in Austin. and it was sort of like a backyard picnic wedding. And so I was sitting at a picnic table, and next to me was this cool woman, and we got to talking because she was from Maine, and I grew up in New Brunswick.
Mm-hmm.
And so I feel like, Maine and New Brunswick, like Maine, possibly the forgotten state, New Brunswick, the forgotten province. Anyway, we bonded over just this, being from kind of a similar region, and she was just lovely, and had a lot of fun talking to her. And at the end, before the wedding ceremony was getting started, I just said, "Hey, what's your name?" And then my producer elbowed me and said, "Put your foot in your mouth. That's Patty Griffin." And he he had mentioned her before to me, but I wasn't familiar with. Like, I really was only introduced to like singer songwriters when I moved to Austin, which was that same year.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm always late to the party. And in any case, I started listening to her music, and I just picked that song because it's one of the many great songs of hers that I loved. And I did go to see her at a festival probably about a year later down in Texas. And yeah, she's phenomenal. She's just a great performer and very authentic on stage, just herself. The songs are all so serious and, heart-wrenching. And yet in between songs, I found this about a lot of musicians. And when I was in Austin,
Mm-hmm.
the songs were quite intense and serious, and captivating. And then in between, the banter between songs, you got an extra side of the person. And so I learned a lot, just from that 3.5 years that I was in Austin on the scene, making my way from the open mic nights to trying my own shows. But I would go out to listen to music more than I ever have in my entire life in that 3.5 year period, and just go hear singer-songwriters like Patty Griffin, really. I saw Sean Colvin at Waterloo Records, and got her autograph, but just with an acoustic guitar and a story and some banter. And I just really thought, this is so cool. Like, maybe I could do this someday.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Maybe. I don't know. What do you think, Brent? Should I give it a shot?
I think you should. You should. It would be a shame if you didn't, and I could actually, no, I'm not kidding. I think you should give it a shot. Having a lot of people on the show that, there's a handful of you. There are, three, I won't name them, but there are 3 or 4 other indie artists that I really believe in. You're one of a small group. And I was just saying this earlier, I would love to take all of you and set up a festival somewhere and have you all play. Mm-hmm. And then at the end, have you all play with each other. Just because I was having this conversation with somebody. I believe in you guys, and I'll do anything that I can to kind of trumpet, your abilities, because you light me up. I love your music, and sometimes I can't believe that you're not a lot more well known than you are. But it's just it's no fault of your own, really, right? I mean, it's just the way that it is these days. There's so much out there, and there's so much stimulus and noise. I mean, it's tough to break through.
I'm available for that festival that you want. I just want you to know, anytime somebody speaks so like encouragingly about my music, I cannot help it, because I know that other artists feel the same way, and business owners as well. But I just want to ask if you want to just be my booking agent. Why can't you just do that, Brent? Like, don't you have extra hours to your day? Come on. I mean, I really think that a lot of there's so many great artists out there that it's so hard to make a go at it. And, I think maybe because there are so many, in a place like Canada, there's lots of venues you can play, certainly, but like, to really make a go at it, it can feel grueling, and it's hard to do alone. You can do a lot alone, but it's not as fun. No. And I've got some wonderful people that I work with, that I've worked with for years, but I don't have a Canadian agent. I don't have an agent in the US. There are missing pieces that really make a difference. Like, my agent in Germany has made an incredible difference in us being able to go almost every year for 3 months and earn revenue and make lasting fans and sell CDs and really have some wonderful experiences performing. And these aren't like stadiums we're playing. These are small, listening room venues that you have a captivated audience that appreciates, and they don't always understand because like, we're talking about going to countries where English is not the first language. And yeah, a lot of people speak English, but actually my experience is a lot of people don't. They just really appreciate the music and the experience of going out. And anyhow, yeah, so I'm ready when you are taking a position on my team, Brent. You just let me know and we'll start talking about how to get rich together. Yeah.
Okay, let's do it. Now, in all seriousness, you have a contact in me for, Ontario. You know that. I'm happy to help you, with anything that I can do here on the ground. So if you need a conduit or anything, then you can always ask me. And after, we'll wrap this up and talk about that after if you want. I'm happy to help you with that.
I would love to.
Absolutely. Okay. Yeah. Tori Amos is your next song, Baker Baker. And I'm going to tell you before you start talking about this song, I hear a lot of Tori Amos in your voice, actually.
You're the first person to say that. And
come on. Really?
No, you are. I get a lot of Kate Bush, but Tori was a huge fan of Kate Bush.
That too, though.
And I didn't know of Kate Bush's music until like recent years when people started saying, and it was mostly over in Europe, making that reference. And so I am so glad to have finally discovered again late to the party Kate Bush's music.
Mm-hmm.
And but Tori is an artist that initially through her music videos I became enthralled with her and her songs. And I followed her since I was a young girl. And I selected the song Baker Baker, I believe, because it is one that when I was starting to write my own songs in Austin, at the end of when I was just looking to put on a song to inspire me to start my songwriting, like at the end of a work day, I would just put that song on repeat. And it's funny that, but right now I'm finally learning, I'm, trying to make my own version of that to perform, because it's sort of like this, to me, the story is I finally realize like the things that helped me, the artists that helped me along the way to do now what I do, to even write my first album. Like I was listening to Tori at the time and Sean Colvin and Patty Griffin and Wilco and the Jayhawks, and they were there at that time in my life, and I still go back to them sometimes. So I'm trying to learn that song right now to perform it, and it terrifies me because I'm such a fan of it that it terrifies me to try and perform it. But I love singing it.
Oh, you'll kill it. I look forward to hearing it.
Thanks, Brian.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. It's funny, the Kate Bush thing, I think I may have mentioned that to you when I saw you last, when you were in Toronto, because
perhaps
I definitely there's a Kate Bush thing too, but and I hadn't really thought about Tori Amos, but
Tori and and I guess Cyndi Lauper would have been another one and Madonna. I like all kinds of music, but I think initially I would discover artists through their music videos.
Mm-hmm.
And those were the popular artists, at the time when I was glued to the television and had free time.
Yes. The good old days.
Mm-hmm.
Tina Turner is next. Simply the Best.
Well, she simply is the best.
Tough lady.
My father took us to see the What's Love Got to Do with It movie when it first came out in Montreal. And I believe it was 1993.
Mm-hmm.
And then immediately after that night, we went to a Tina Turner concert in Montreal. I had never been to an event like that before, to, a concert of that size. And I don't think I'd ever been to a concert, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
And I had been listening to Ike and Tina, and I believe I had a cassette tape of Tina's, one of her albums. And I memorized it all, I'm sure. And anyhow, so it was the first time I went to a concert, and I don't know what happened to me, but I became somebody else. Like I was, I was like a young teenager and kind of embarrassed to be hanging around with my brother and my father at a concert. But as soon as she came on stage and the music started, and this was probably one of the first songs that she walked onto, I jumped out of my seat, and we were up in the nosebleed section, and I was up the entire concert on my feet,
Wow.
dancing and singing. And I just forgot that I was with my father and my brother. And I remember walking away from that concert just obsessed with this idea that I could be in a band like that. I could be maybe a backup singer or dancer, not in the, like in the front, not in the lead or anything, but just, it just looked like such a blast.
Hmm.
And I don't know what else to say. Like the music just really did something magical to me, and I wanted to experience that again. Yeah,
Wow. That's a cool story.
I thought it was kind of boring, but thanks.
No, I always like hearing how people kind of got their start, right? There was always a spark, and that was your spark, perhaps.
Oh man, there were so many sparks, but that was I think that was, probably a pretty important one. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. How about Whitney Houston? I Will Always Love You.
Oh gosh,
Does that
it's such a
spark you at
great
all?
song. Yeah. Well, I mean, I can't listen to that song without, tearing up. I
Mm,
mean, Dolly did a great job at writing the song. And I think she even has said herself that that song changed her. I mean, it made her a very wealthy woman,
mm-hmm.
uh, Whitney's performance. And I mean, Whitney was another one of the female artists that, I feel like I was learning how to sing,
Mm-hmm.
by just trying to imitate Whitney and these power ballad singers,
Mm.
and just one of the greatest singers of all time. Yeah, that song is incredible.
It's masterclass, really. I mean, nobody can refute that. It doesn't matter what musical genre you like or you hate. I mean, you cannot this if this doesn't make the goosebumps come up for you, then you might not be alive.
Yeah, I don't even understand, everything about music, anything much. I'm not, I'm not a trained musician really. It's really mostly by feel for me. And you notice in her vocal delivery how she could be so powerful, but yet, go so low and quiet.
Hmm.
And her control is just impeccable. Her emotion, like I just always wanted to be able, to sing like that, not just sort of, not just, hold a note and it all sound kind of the same and then it ends. And
Yeah.
just to really be communicating and saying something with emotive and powerful. Like I think to make somebody feel something, like, and maybe like bring someone to tears, like that's pretty huge. That's
Yeah.
pretty huge when you can do that.
Yeah. Absolutely. Every time, consistently.
Mm.
Now, your last song, I Do Not Know. It's by Seela, and it's called Hard Times Hit.
Seela's my pen pal in Austin, and I
Oh.
used to go, and she was one of the first singer songwriters that I really looked up to in Austin. I'd go and hear her at the local venues around town, and I just felt like, she really was one of these very personal writers. I mean, I had no idea really, and I won't claim that, I won't speak to whether her songs are all about her, but I mean, that's what I took. I was like, oh wow, she's really singing from her own experience. Like maybe I could do that. Maybe I could find a way to do that. And I would go and hear her not just singing, like not just when she was performing like her own songs, but when she's also an incredible jazz singer, and she would play with her jazz band once a week. So I
Hmm.
tried to hit that up, and her partner John Green played drums on my first record. He's a super talented musician as well. To this, so Steele and I reconnected in recent years. I'd always had her on my mind because she really was a big influence on me musically, and I discovered that she's an incredible visual artist, and she's really focusing on that right now too. And she makes lyric videos, and I asked her to produce a lyric video for a recent Christmas single that I did called "Kisses for Christmas" that
Hmm.
was released last year, and she did a great job. And she's my pen pal now. and I love getting her handwritten notes and her artwork. And it's nice to, it's just really nice to be in touch with people that I knew, that was over 20 years ago now.
Wow. That's cool.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
I'm hoping she'll come visit me in Canada. She says she and John might come up. So that would be wonderful. Yeah.
Yeah. Good. Well, I hope she does. Cool.
I've said that because I'm going to tell her to listen to this, and then she'll hear this part, and then she'll buy a ticket, and then I'll see her next week.
See, that'll be the catalyst. That'll be the tipping point.
That's right.
Won't it, Seela?
And Seela, if you're listening, I have performed your song from time to time live because I love singing it too. It's just, there's something about the lyrics and that I suppose I can relate to, but I just love singing it. I think it's a great song.
That's cool. Well, I hope she does come up.
Yeah, me too.
So that is the end of your song list, my friend. It has been a pleasure once again speaking with you. I'm so glad you took the time to do this with me.
Thanks, Brent. Yeah, I really appreciate you listening and, chatting, catching up. It's great.
Yeah.
I read your book too, by the way.
You did? Which one? No.
Oh man, you have another one? I don't know. The one where you went on the road trip and you played all the songs with your friend.
Oh, All My Favorite People Are Broken.
Yeah, it's been a while. I don't remember, and my memory is horrible. But I did read it and enjoyed it.
That's awesome. Good, thank you.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, there are two others. That's
okay.
That's the third one.
Listen, I don't have time.
Who really does?
For you.
Who does?
No, I will. I'll put it on my reading list.
All right. Play your cards right. You might get some copies in the post.
Oh my goodness.
How about that?
Okay, this is sounding fun. I'll be your pen pal.
Yay. How does these days, how do pen pals work? Can we use computers or do we have to actually write letters?
You're supposed to handwrite the letter. It's better for your heart and your brain. But wow. I do take shortcuts sometimes, I will admit, because the most important thing is that you get it out in the mail. So, I don't like to make people wait too long.
Oh, it's actually like a mailed letter then, really? I was kind of joking, but this is a real thing. Like pen pal means letters through the mail.
Yeah, it costs money and, still it's remarkably cheap considering the distance that, for sending a letter to Europe. People complain about a stamp being $3, but it's it costs a lot more to fly over to the Netherlands or down to Austin to deliver it yourself. So I think $3. Yeah, it's so fun getting stuff in the mail. I mean,
it is.
You should try it.
Unless it's a bill, that's not very fun.
Well, we all get those online now, don't we?
Yeah. So stay on the line with me and we'll wrap the show up. Folks, the single is Stay With Me, Christina Martin. Go out, wherever you get your music from, go out, expose yourself to this. You will not be disappointed. And if you are, then you can throw rocks at me through social media. Be my guest. This has been No Sleep Till Sudbury with Brent Jensen and my very special guest, Christina Martin. Until next time, folks, take good care.
Brent Jensen is the best-selling author of No Sleep Till Sudbury, Leftover People, and All My Favorite People Are Broken. All titles available in stores and on Amazon worldwide.